Alrighty, welcome into the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. Great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo, CaveTalkRadio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app for Apple and Android devices, and of course, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. We're all there for you. Great to have you aboard. And boy, do we have a lot today. All kinds of stuff. I mean, you're talking baseball, football, the NBA around the corner, making up for lost time from our lack of a show on Friday. Just a whole lot to get to, and we can't wait to do it with you right now. The Gary Ayd Show, 10 to noon, here on The Cave. All right, so I have a very complicated and, I guess complicated is the wrong word. It's not really complicated, but conflicted rant, conflicted internally for myself as it relates to baseball. First of all, I want to talk about the Dodgers. Before I get to my bigger point, I want to just say this about the Dodgers. This team is, whether you believe it or not, it's fine, what stereotypically Wilt Chamberlain was, what a lot of people will say LeBron James is, what a lot of people will say someone like Tracy McGrady was, someone like Barry Bonds, people will say Alex Rodriguez, a team, now those are players, but a team that is all stats and no intestinal fortitude, no gamer, no win at the time you need to win. And a lot of the players I just mentioned, I don't necessarily agree with that die being cast on them, but that is a prevailing narrative with all of them. In this case with the Dodgers, they are going to get what they deserve in terms of how they're remembered by history. When you look at the Celtics and Lakers of the 60s, you had the one team with the dominant stars, the one team that kept winning. In the modern baseball world, these Astros and these Dodgers are now the Celtics and the Lakers. The Astros are absolutely the Celtics. The Dodgers are absolutely the Lakers. Same city even. They are a team that is regular season dominant and postseason putrid. 111 wins down the drain, it means nothing. In fact, at this point, it's almost a detriment to who they are. Now, that's on them. Now, there's a part of this, and this brings you to my bigger point, that's not their fault. Baseball is broken, fundamentally broken. If you are going to play 162 games and the impetus, the mode that drives baseball decisions is sample size, right? That's the biggest factor. Well, how long? Oh, well, he's hitting 400. Yeah, but it's for 2 weeks. I need a bigger sample size. Well, 162 games is a lot of sample size. The Dodgers were clearly the best team over 162 games. But because of the way it's structured, now I gave them their thorns, that they have a role in this too. I'm not absolving that. But because of the way baseball is structured and has been for the last 50 or so years, that almost doesn't matter. And it becomes less and less important the more rounds you add to the playoffs, and the fewer rounds are a full 7-game series, it becomes even that much less important. So to me, these 162 games, it's a hard sell to pay attention as a fan, and it's a harder sell still to tell these teams to put their best foot forward during the 162 because, well, why? Two teams that barely made the playoffs are now going to determine who plays in the World Series. And, you know, good for the Padres, good for the Phillies. But if this was a series in May, this just could easily be a random series in May where they got hot and they beat the better team. The longevity of 162 games and the dominance of it has to mean more. Or let's just not even bother. To me, I feel cheated if I'm a Dodgers fan in some respects. I feel let down by my team for their performance in the other side of that same coin. But I have very complicated emotions today if I wake up as a Dodgers fan, because what we saw is equal parts a failure on their part and a poorly constructed apparatus on baseball's part. There's no way. I don't care how many games the Padres won. The Dodgers are a better baseball team, and they're a team I would have much rather watched further down the line. And so to me, I'm at the point now with baseball where it's like, okay, what do you do? Like, what can you do? Because the problem is everyone wants playoff games because it brings everyone money. We understand that. But these 162 bring more money. And the more of this happens, the more you're going to see what we see in the NBA, load management. More of that's going to be coming down the pipe. You can bet on it. And what that's going to mean is a lot of games where, well, this is a game that doesn't really matter. We're not too concerned about this game. We want to get our guys rested. You're going to see a lot of that, more than you already do, a lot more. And you can't blame the teams. I don't. So it's going to cost fan relationships. It's going to probably over time cost money at the gate. It's certainly going to cost major ratings points once someone turns on a game and realizes 6 of the 9 guys that they want to watch aren't playing. They're not going to watch that game. I think this is a big, big problem. I think the feel-good fuzziness of Cinderella is greatly underpinned by a stack of shredded glass on this road that baseball is now trekking. And I think it's incredibly disappointing. And I think it could be potentially dangerous financially for the sport in the long term. I think it's a short-term grab of money with the expanded playoffs for a long-term decrease in game-to-game revenue in the regular season because there's going to be less and less reason why bother. It's a crapshoot in the end. It's not even like you could say, okay, well, let's be playing our best baseball come October. Like, you can't really fully control that. So it really turns into a crapshoot. And I'm not for it. I'm just not.
I am exactly the opposite. I am all for it. I am all here for Padres Phillies. I am thrilled to see that series. Why? Because it's not the same old thing, at least for me.
But it's not the best product baseball could put out there.
How do you know? How do you know this won't be a classic series between two hot, overachieving teams?
They're overachieving teams that got hot at the right time. They could easily cool down and be reversed to their mean. I mean, that, and like, to me, that's
a worst case scenario.
I'm all about the team that proved it the most over the longest period of time. Or let's forget all of sample size. Sample size shouldn't matter at all then, if we're going to go this route. I mean, because that's what we're doing. Sample size and sustained excellence doesn't matter anymore. It just matters who gets hot when. I mean, basically, that's what this tells us. Now, like I said, the Dodgers bear some blame for this, of course.
Yeah, they do.
Of course they do. But so does the structure of the postseason and the way that kind of a crapshoot element of this is rewarded by the setup. Now, the Astros are saying the hell with that because they're kicking ass and taking names. And that's what makes
they won.
That's what makes them better. But I, for one, believe that at least a measurable 30 to 50% of the blame here goes on the structure of the playoffs and not on the Dodgers. The other half goes on the Dodgers. They're not blameless. And I don't want that message to come across. I
can say the same thing about the NBA or the NHL.
I think you could.
An 8 seed beats a 1.
No, I agree. And I would agree with that. I mean, 100%. I mean, I've said for years, I think the NBA playoffs would be much better if you had maybe 6 teams in each conference. Like, I don't need to see Golden State play Sacramento in the first round. I don't need that. I don't need to watch the Milwaukee Bucks destroy the Orlando Magic.
Nobody ever needs to watch Sacramento.
Like, I don't need that. We could do without that.
You don't want to watch them during the regular season.
The one thing
this wasn't Sacramento.
Okay. No,
Orlando.
This was Golden State circa 2005 beating Dallas. That's a better comparison.
This was a Padres team that took a while to adjust to the half different lineup they had because they moved so many people out in the Soto trade. You want to give blame to baseball? I want to give props to Josh Hader. The man is back.
I'm sure Jack George loves that.
He dominated. He needed to make the save in the last game. Yeah, I'll strike out the side. Sure, no problem.
We got
game before. Yeah, I'll give you a 4-out save. No problem.
Jason
Hader's back, and it means something.
No. I mean, look, Josh Hader's a great closer, and it was a matter of time before he figured his stuff out. Jason says, "Is not now how the Giants won their last 2 Super Bowls, getting hot at the right time. It happens in the NFL. Look how they're doing. Look, yeah, it does. But you know what?
Yeah,
they weren't the best team either, and they got hot at the right time, and that has always been unsatisfying to me. As a fan, I always feel like I just don't. It's like someone winning the lottery. Like, I don't look at someone who becomes a multimillionaire by winning the lottery the same as I look at someone who built a business over 30 years and sustained and continued to grow their net worth by doing that. The Dodgers were the business. The Padres were the lottery ticket. I'm just not about that. It never
they cashed in on that lottery ticket with a trade that paid off.
I mean, they cashed in, but
a number of trades, if you count the Hader trade, which was a throwaway for Milwaukee for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why. That was stupid. I mean, Milwaukee trading away Hader like that.
Hader hit a slump.
He hit a slump, right? But so to me, I just that's just how I see it. I see this as a what I would like to see, maybe what might be a common middle ground would be, and I know they don't want to do it because of the time of year, because of, going into November. I understand why it wasn't done, but I would feel at least a little bit better if these were 7-game series. But
see, to me, that doesn't matter.
It doesn't solve the problem. It lessens its severity
totally
to me.
It doesn't matter. If they were 7-game series, I wouldn't doubt the Phillies win at all. The way Atlanta looked.
Yeah, Atlanta looked horrible. And I'm less annoyed. I feel less cheated with that one than I do with the Dodgers. With the Dodgers being out, I feel cheated out of the best possible baseball we could have seen in the World Series. I feel no matter what happens, no matter what happens, we're getting a lesser product at this point, at least halfway.
I don't think so. I think we're getting a great NLCS.
As long as the Astros are there, at least you'll have halfway the correct product. And I think they will be. Now, the Yankees, we'll get to them in a second. We're going to talk about them in a little bit. We'll push the question of the day back to the third segment of the hour because I want to talk about the Yankees and what they did last night to save their season. That's up next. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, we're back and talking about baseball here. Let's go to the Yankees. This is why they brought in Garrett Cole. I mean, this is what you want to see, right? Like, this is the guy. He did this to get them started in game one. He saved their season again last night with some strong pitching. This is really probably the best version of the Yankees I've seen in terms of their starting pitching. Cole went out there with a singleness of mind yesterday. He wasn't getting denied. There was absolutely no way Cleveland was celebrating on his watch. It was not happening.
And they really looked like a more complete baseball team yesterday.
They did.
They got somebody on base, manufactured runs. In the game where they lost, in game 3 where they lost, it was feast or famine, home runs. And that's why I kind of think this isn't a complete team. I think they'll get by Cleveland.
Yeah. I agree.
Especially at home.
Right.
I don't think they're on the level of Houston.
No, I totally agree. I've been saying since May that I think the Astros are the best team in baseball, and there's been nothing that I've seen that would make me think otherwise. Now, I believe Philly can rake with them, but I think the Astros pitching, and I think more than anything else, the Astros have an it factor that no one else has. They have this ability to rise to occasions and get big hits on a scarily consistent basis. I mean, it's incredible. And it's really ultimately what separates them over these last 10 years from the Dodgers. Like I was saying earlier in my rant, they have a it factor, a clutch factor, if you will, which is something I don't talk about much. It's something I'm nebulous about whether or not I really believe in. I kind of waffle back and forth over the years. But this Astros team, if there was ever a case to be made for a team being clutch, these guys are the poster child of it. And one last thing I want to say about this. I'm so tired of hearing about 2017. Like, let's be done with it, please.
Thank you.
I mean, the Astros are a great team. I would call them right now the team of the decade. And there's no one I want to see have success more than Dusty Baker.
I feel the exact same way. That was my pick at the beginning to win everything.
They're so
I want
good.
to see Dusty get one.
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
Hey, I could do that for you, what you said here in the I could do that whole show.
Oh, I know you could. Poor Dylan would need some of that coffee you're drinking, or it might have to be spiked. I'm thinking. I don't. By the way,
Dylan, come over. I got a bottle of rum chata sitting right here.
Oh, baby,
it makes the coffee so good.
He's gonna give you that 1960s stuff called Yukon Jack. It's gonna turn you into an alcoholic.
I'm sorry I did that.
Yukon Jack. All right.
The Astros are the best team left.
Yeah, I think
Seriously.
so. I think so. They were the best team at the start too.
Will it be a fun series, Phillies or Padres against the Astros? Yeah, I think it will. Will it hurt ratings? I think it won't, because you'll have more people in different parts of the country saying, I want to watch this underdog.
I think you're going to see a lesser ratings either way than you would have with LA, because
you're losing a lot of eyeballs in LA.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. But I think that
baseball fans will watch.
Of the remaining teams in the NL, of the two teams, I think Philly would draw better than San Diego. San Diego is sort of the West Coast version of Miami. Like they're a decent sports town, but Philly is a rabid sports town.
Yeah.
Philly will turn
Everybody's
out.
jealous of San Diego.
Well, yeah, they got the best craft beer in the country.
They do, and great Mexican food too. I mean, best I've ever had.
There you go. See, there's a lot to be jealous about. But you
Hell
know,
with this. I'll see you. I'm going to San Diego.
see you later. Oh man. So yeah, so the Yankees now face a game 5 elimination. It's gonna be curious to see who they throw there. Obviously, they just burned Cole. Where do you go if you're Boone?
I'll tell you, anyone but Quantrill. He cannot handle that staff. He couldn't before he got there. He had troubles with them when he was in wherever. Quantrill's never pitched well against the Yankees, and Bader owns him. Completely owns him. Quantrill lost the 2 games they lost. I don't remember who pitched when. I know McKenzie pitched in game 3. If Bieber pitched game 2, then I don't know who they can throw out there.
Well, who do you throw if you're the Yankees? I mean, can you go with Severino here?
Why not? He's been good all year.
That's probably where I go. I don't know. I'd have to look at who pitched when. I don't remember that off the top of my head, but if I can get 5 innings, 6 innings out of most of the guys not named Cole on my staff at this point, like an all hands type of thing, I think my top choice probably is Severino. I just trust it. He's a ground ball pitcher. He induces a lot of ground balls, and
Indians can hit those though.
They can.
I'm sorry, the Guardianas.
The Guardianas, that's right.
I think right now the bullpen, Cleveland's bullpen's in better shape than the Yankees is.
Yes.
The Yankees bullpen's a little beat up. Clase hasn't pitched in a couple days after that 7-out save. So he's fresh. Most of the guys in their pen, they didn't use a lot of them yesterday, are fresh. That's one advantage they have, but it's getting to that point.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a 4-5 inning game. Whichever starter gets 5 good innings in is going to have the big advantage. If it's Cleveland, I think their pen can win it. If the Yankees get that lead, I think it'll be harder for Cleveland.
Yeah, so we'll see. That game is was that tonight or is that tomorrow?
Tonight.
It's tonight.
Tonight, the CSs start tomorrow and Wednesday, I think. There's no that was that stupid day off between game 1 and game 2. That made no sense why 2 teams did that.
Damn rest time. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. We will do NFL football, and then we'll finish up the hour with question of the day. A lot of football action this past weekend. All 3 New York teams win. Eagles remain undefeated. And by the way, in case you haven't heard,
all 3 New York teams.
All 3 New York teams.
I see it as 1 New York team and 2 New Jersey teams. Just messing with you.
And you might have heard something else too. Josh Allen's pretty good at football, and he did something yesterday that was fairly crazy.
Yeah, but he can't win close games, remember?
Yes, that's right.
Boy, that aged well, huh?
You're just determined to make this toss to break as bumpy and unjointed as possible, aren't you?
Well,
you derailed it not once but twice. Come on, man!
The one that made that ridiculous statement a few weeks ago. I'm just reporting here. I didn't say it.
Who made what statement? I didn't say Josh Allen doesn't win close games.
I didn't say you. Some
yokel
said that
Allen
Allen can't win close games. I don't know. I think if you look at the numbers, he's got some come from behind fourth quarter wins, and it's not his fault. They blow a lot of teams out early.
More on this on the other side. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
Jets, Giants, Bills all win. Eagles remain undefeated. Rams get healthy against Carolina. All kinds of stuff happened in the NFL this week. Let's hit some of these games real quick. First of all,
We could get healthy against Carolina.
the Giants, really, I have to give them a lot of credit. They were down 20-10 in the fourth quarter in this one. They scored 14 unanswered to beat a very good Baltimore team. This is a signature win as far as I'm concerned. Daniel Jones made a couple of big throws. Barkley didn't have his best game, was mostly bottled up, but had a lot of tough yardage. He's a tough back.
And scored the winning touchdown.
He did. He's a tough back. He's just a grinder. I mean, when he's healthy, that guy's an absolute load to take down. And it's funny how bad some things, you were talking about comments aging poorly with Allen. Talk about things that can age poorly and how quickly that can happen. All of New York was trying to run this guy out of town at the end of last year. Really, since he's been here, they're just mad that they took a running back 2 overall. Well, look how damn good the guy is. I mean, at a certain point, man, like that matters, doesn't it? I don't care what position you play.
I don't understand why people wanted him gone.
What?
He was the best weapon on offense.
He's their only real threat. I mean, like, if you had, let's take Singletary for the Bills. He's a really good running back. Good NFL running back.
Nice game yesterday, too.
Nice game.
17 for 85 against the Chiefs.
But no defensive coordinator is game playing against him. If you put him on the Giants in place of Barkley, this is the worst offense in the NFL because they have no threat, nothing for the defense to have to worry about or plan against. You just play straight coverage, 6 in the box, double safeties, and just say, okay, Dan, go ahead. Like Barkley's the guy that gives those throwing lanes to Jones and gives those receivers that space, in those middle creases that they're having success in, because you have to put 9 guys in the box, 8-9 guys in the box to guard this guy.
And I'll give him some credit. I'm not a big fan, but he made a couple of clutch throws he needed to make.
He did.
I'm not saying this is the answer, nor am I saying, well, this is their guy, because it's obviously not Daboll's guy.
Right.
But Daboll's making the best of it.
He's winning with them, right. And as long as Barkley's the threat that he is, I will go one step further than you just went. I think Jones is capable of this type of play on a consistent basis when the threat is not him or the passing game, but the threat is the running game, and he's able to be the second option.
I'd like to see it a little bit more, to use your favorite baseball term.
Sample
size.
Sample size.
Oh, one more thing real quick. I hate to derail this about baseball, but anyone saying the Padres didn't deserve that 3 strikeout save Hader got, it was Betts, Turner, and Freeman. Yeah, they deserved it.
So
okay, I'm done.
So the Giants go to 5-1 with that beautiful, really just a great win against Baltimore. The Jets.
It's not far behind.
No, they're right there. The Jets. They undressed, totally embarrassed Green Bay, absolutely destroyed them. And I said this in the preseason. Don't be surprised if Green Bay's bad this year or below average. They don't, you talking about what we were just mentioning with the Giants and not having a threat besides Barkley. The Packers don't have a threat of any kind. I mean, Rodgers can't throw the ball to himself, right? So
Right.
there's no real running back there. There's no big threat receiver. There's no possession tight end. Think Mark Andrews like Baltimore has. They got nothing. It's Aaron Rodgers and a bunch of third string, slot receivers. That's
Basically,
what they are.
Aaron Rodgers against the world.
And, this was, if you understand football, this was foreseeable. This is not a surprise to me that the Packers have struggled. It's really not. But I will say.
No, it's not. But I'm going to give the Jets their due. The easiest way to beat the Packers is take the ball out of Rodgers' hands.
Yep.
They pounded the ball. 179 yards rushing. 116 of them from Breece Hall, who I think I told you in April, this guy was the best back in the draft. And someone was going to get a steal in the second round, and it was the Jets.
Yeah, they got
who had
nice
a great
player.
draft.
Yeah, they did.
He's a potential game breaker.
I also like Wilson. The more I watch him, I think this kid has the goods. I really do.
You too.
Yeah, I think this guy's the real deal. I'm much more confident with him than I am with Jones. He's a couple years younger than Jones, of course, too, but I think this kid's the real deal. To Dylan's point, I do think the Giants and Cowboys are going to battle neck and neck the rest of the way for this division. Cowboys lost a tough game against Philly last night, who, of course, remains the only undefeated team in the NFL. That's another team that's the real deal. A couple other scores I wanted to get to. Just when I got excited, just when I started feeling, okay, we've turned the corner, the Niners go and lay an egg against Atlanta. What a disaster. What an embarrassment. The Colts had a crazy come from behind win against the Jaguars. They won 34-17. So that was a pretty good one. Vikings beat the Dolphins. I told everyone early in the season, cool your heels on the Dolphins. They're not that good. I know they're on their backup quarterbacks right now, but still, Patriots dismantled the Browns. Please, no one ever tell me going into a season the Browns are arrived. Never say that again. They don't arrive. They're stuck.
No, they just leave.
Elway put them to bed for all eternity with the drive 40 years ago. It's over.
How about the Steelers' defense yesterday?
I'm telling you, the Steelers ended up beating the Buccaneers 20-18. And, I was talking about this with my buddy. I don't think the Steelers have yet to score 20 points in more than 20 points in a single game during the regular season this year. No, they scored 23 against Cincinnati. Their high water mark.
And Pickett got hurt.
Yep. And
it was Trubisky that had to come in and
a sterling performance from the Seahawks, 19-9.
You know how you know how the Cardinals got their touchdown?
What's that?
A muffed attempted punt.
Oops.
And they landed on it in the end zone for a touchdown. Their offense was 0. And Kingsbury is catching it and Murray, and they both deserve it.
Patriots moved to 3-3 with that win I mentioned before. Zappy with 309 and 2 touchdowns. And then Buffalo, man, that saved the best for last. Buffalo in a classic against Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. I was telling this to my buddy Rob yesterday. I have made the decision. I'm calling it right now. This is officially, as of last night, for me, has officially become the next Montana versus Elway, Manning versus Brady. This battle between Mahomes and Allen is the new wave, man. It absolutely is. We're lucky to have both of them. both these organizations are well positioned for sustained success with those guys leading the way. They're going to see each other a lot in important games because they're probably always going to be at or near the top of their conference. They're in the same conference. And every time these two teams play, there's drama, man. These games are always exciting. Last night was no exception. Both guys showed up. I mean, this is as good as football gets when these two teams play.
The last 7 times they've played in Kansas City. I want to see those little wussy boys come up here in December. It's all I want. Or January in a playoff game.
Well,
come up to Buffalo.
Well, if it's a playoff game, if the Bills have the home field, then I guess they would have no choice in that matter.
Right now they have that edge, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah, this is the pinnacle of football to me, or when these two teams play. I love watching these games. Allen made a crazy hurdle. Mahomes had a beautiful scramble right before that.
It's his second hurdle against the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's incredible. Both those guys are amazing.
361 and 3 touchdowns. What hurt Mahomes was the interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of interceptions, the most amazing thing to me about this game, Jordan Poyer, Bills safety.
Yes.
He couldn't fly due to some rib injury. The Bills hired him a car.
I heard this.
And he and his family made the 1,000-mile trip to Kansas City in 15 hours. The nice thing was the car they hired him was a Mercedes Sprinter van, so he had room to lie down in the back.
This might be a stupid question, but if you're not healthy enough to get on the plane, how are you healthy enough to play in an NFL game?
That's the NFL, baby. You're playing no matter what. We don't care if your head's messed up, your ribs. We don't care if your leg's falling off. Play.
Oh, I meant from his perspective. I'm happy he played. I mean,
he's a player. They'll play through anything if you let him.
Yep. Yeah, that was, and he played well too. He had a good game.
Yeah. Apparently, he said that they told him air travel was out of the question. But the doctor said as long as that was taped, he couldn't do any more damage to it on the field.
Well, if it's a broken rib, that's true. Because broken ribs are just kind of one of those things that, like, they hurt and they suck and eventually they heal.
I mean, the ribs and pneumothorax on top of it. So, you know, but hey, he was able to play, and why not?
He played well, and there was a big win for the Bills. I mean, that gives
at least he got a win. Could you imagine making that drive home if you lose?
Oh God,
it's not even a plane ride at that point.
No, maybe it's time to just hang out in town and get some barbecue for a couple days.
I would. Hey, they got a bye next week. I'd be 2-day barbecuing it like crazy.
Absolutely, no question about it. All right, let's take one more break. We'll come back and we'll do our radio question of the day to close out the hour, and then we'll go from there. Second hour, a lot to get to. Also, top 5, 2 NBA teams to break down, and then also we have, of course, news you can use in Monday Night Football. So that's what's on tap the rest of the way. Back after this, it's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right, we're back, and it's time now for our radio question of the day. It's going to be good stuff. I have a feeling we never get to hear these ahead of time, so let's see what it is.
The creators of Topgolf are turning mini golf into putt-putt on steroids. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
If you served in the Marine Corps, now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
800-414-1657. 800-414-1657. That's 800-414-1657.
Putt Shack, which was co-founded by the creators of the highly entertaining driving range chain Topgolf, is offering a new kind of mini golf experience tailored to adults. While cocktails are on the menu, cheating is not. Sports Techie reports Putt Shack's golf balls contain proprietary track-a-ball technology with microchips that enable automated scoring, bonus points, and gamification. Question for the mini golf crowd. Would you prefer playing with a smart golf ball? Or do you think smart golf balls would only serve to add a few extra strokes to your mini handicap?
Wait, so I don't even understand. So what? The ball automatically goes in? Was it like I don't even get it. Like, what's the point?
No, the ball tracks your strokes.
Oh, and tells me how bad I am.
Tells you how many strokes you've taken.
Oh, so I don't have to write it down on a piece of paper.
Well, you probably still do, but I mean, I don't know if it keeps them.
Yeah, right. Okay.
There was an article about this. Top Golf is getting really, really big. I know this is an offshoot of it, but they've opened their first few in the U.S. and there's going to be more. There's 5 or 6 more coming that will be open next year, according to Front Office Sports.
Mm.
And this is a real interesting approach. I have not seen one. I hope to get to a city that has one, and I can't wait because, you know, I love my miniature golf.
Oh, mini golf is fun. I mean, it's one of the...
It is. It's a blast.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. And I love the fact that we're throwing cocktails in the mix now. Now we're talking. I mean, you said adult golf, mini golf, and I said, okay, if I don't hear the word cocktail sometime here soon, it's not adult anything. And it's the next
You heard
word
it
out of their
right
mouth.
away.
Yes, perfect. So I'm down with that. I think the key for me, because it's a pain in the neck, because I'm competitive. I want to keep score no matter if I'm playing mini golf or real golf. I want to know if I'm winning or losing. So I always keep score on the pad and paper that they give you at those courses. But that's always annoying. It's hard to carry around. It delays things. If I could have a ball track that for me and I was basically able to see my score, you know, at the end of the round by like doing an app or something. I don't know what the interface would be. I'm totally down for that. If that's indeed what it does. If it's not doing that, it's just another hokey thing with GPS technology, basically. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the reason I don't carry an Apple Watch. Like, yeah, it's like, okay, I don't really need that. I don't need Google glasses. Like, there's certain things that I don't really, I got enough things that I can track with, like my phone and whatever. So I don't need the extra stuff. But if it does solve that one annoyance, I would be down for it for just that reason.
Do you have an Apple phone?
I do.
What do you need an Apple Watch for?
I don't. That's what I'm saying.
Your phone tracks your steps.
Right. No, that's what I mean. I have no
It tracks how many times you use stairs.
I see no reason for an Apple Watch.
Your heart rate, everything.
Yep.
Your phone already does that. The Apple Watch is just another device.
It's just another thing, right?
Another device that makes money, though.
Yes.
Because everyone's got to have the latest.
My wife is one of those people, I have to tell you. I've had the same iPhone for years now, because every time we're due for an upgrade on one of our lines, she takes it. So I'm just like, tracking around an XR still, because why not? But yeah.
I upgraded to an 11 when I had the chance, and I'm now like 3 behind. I don't care. If I can use this phone for the next 5 years, I will. I don't need the latest and greatest. I need something that works.
Yep. No, that's how I feel as well. I totally agree. But there you have it. So there's your question of the day. Let's hit Monday Night Football real quick while we have a couple of minutes before the top of the hour.
Hey, maybe we'll make a pick on this game too.
Yeah, why not? We didn't get to do our picks this week.
No,
we were MIA.
We lost the Thursday night game.
We did. What a disaster that game was.
Oh, man, I am so glad I was at a hockey game.
You know what? I had so much fun watching that game with my friend Rob. I had a blast laughing at how bad both teams were. We both did. We were rolling on the floor the whole game, just cracking up. We both had so much fun watching the ineptitude. It was actually great. I had so much fun.
I'm not as worried about you having watched it with someone else. If you'd have watched it on your own, I'd have said help them.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Hey, did you see there's no new investigation by the NFL against Snyder, just to change the subject?
Good. Good.
They backed down awfully quick, didn't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's let him keep his team. Leave it alone. All right. So
it's all you got to do is threaten people.
So we got the Chargers and the Broncos tonight. Chargers a heavy favorite, trending at minus 220 right now. Over under on this game is 45.5. It's a 4.5 point spread. Broncos the underdog, like I mentioned. I personally think this game is going to be an absolute bloodbath. I mean, the Chargers haven't been great, but I think they're significantly better than Denver. I think Denver is a terrible team. I've mentioned that all year. I got the Chargers tonight. I think that the Broncos are going to have to make a decision in terms of, what they're going to be. Because, I mean, look, they're married to Russell Wilson, whether they like it or not at this point. I mean, they signed that contract. That's it, man.
Oh yeah, they're stuck with him. What they're stuck with is a $250 million quarterback who's on the wrong end of his career.
Yep. Who was never a great quarterback to begin with. He was always a system guy.
He was an excellent system guy.
I think so.
He made the plays he had to make in Seattle.
Yep.
Most of the time.
Right. Yeah. Except
enough to win.
Except when he really should have won.
Not enough to win a second Super Bowl.
Yeah, except when he really should have won.
But I blame his coach for that.
Yeah, that's the coach's fault. But
speaking of coaches' faults.
Yes.
In the Dallas-Philly game, Dallas is down and driving, and CeeDee Lamb makes a nice catch, extends the ball. First down, easily, by half a yard. The one ref signals first down. The other ref from behind said, no, it's down here. She said, okay, for some dumb reason. And McCarthy didn't challenge it. They're asking him in the booth, why isn't he challenging that? Even the rules guy said, this is a first down, challenge that. He doesn't. He rushes up to the line to try to get a play off on 4th and a half yard. And not even a half yard, it was inches. And it was an incomplete pass because no one was open.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand the thought process there. I probably wouldn't have made the same decision, but I get where he's coming from. You got a half a yard to go. You think you can get it. And the truth is, whenever you have these challenges, there's such a crapshoot. The timeouts in the game like that are valuable. It's not without thought that he did that. I don't think it was just an oversight of gross negligence. He just made a judgment call that
a mistake.
I probably would have gone the other way with it, but like,
I would have gone the other way.
But
you got the challenges, use them.
Yeah, but the truth is, I think losing the timeout at that stage is probably his bigger concern.
Yeah, the way coaches mismanage the clock in the last 2 minutes, timeouts are, I think, their least.
And then the way
that was a first down, and you were on a drive.
Right.
And you gave the Eagles a cheap field goal after that. Yeah, I would have challenged it.
Yep.
It was 3 points you could not have afforded to give up at that time.
Right. I understand. Yeah,
so I guess we're taking the Chargers tonight.
I think so. I mean, the only way Denver wins this game, in my opinion, is if they win the turnover battle. If they can create turnovers and capitalize on them, that's going to be the key. I could see Denver creating turnovers, but if they happen at the wrong part of the field, they might be glorified punts.
See, that's my question. Have they capitalized on this at all this year?
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. I mean, their defense has been fairly good, but their offense at times looks anemic. I mean, here's an interesting question. Right now, who would you rather have as your quarterback? Russell Wilson or Daniel Jones?
Ooh.
That's what I mean. I think that's a conversation right now.
Well, it's not as much of a conversation if the coach isn't included.
That's true. Yeah, if I get to keep Dable,
have Russell Wilson and Coach Nate. No, I'd rather have Daniel Jones and Brian Dable.
If I can get Wilson with Dable, that's probably
the best thing, because Dable would best know how to use it.
Yeah, Dable knows what he's doing.
And Jones would just die under Coach Nate.
Oh,
the poor kid would be done.
Poor guy. He pretty much already had Coach Nate with the freakazoids they had his first couple years as an NFL player.
True, and a couple different offensive coordinators, which is the worst for messing up a young quarterback.
It really is. It reminds me of what happened to Alex Smith all those years ago. I mean,
yeah,
he was never going to be Aaron Rodgers, so that was certainly a draft mistake. But I mean, I think he could have achieved the level he achieved in the second half of his career earlier had he not gone through all that nonsense.
I agree.
But he ended up having himself a pretty good career because of a strong second half. But
he did. It didn't help Mayfield either to have three different offensive coordinators.
No,
it doesn't help any young quarterback, whether you're really good or okay.
It also never helps if you play for Cleveland and Carolina either.
Well, true. True.
Especially the former. Oh, Cleveland's a disaster.
Of course, this year he got injured in Carolina and was smart enough to say, okay.
Yep.
I'm not going to play through it this time.
Right.
Good.
Right.
They don't deserve to have you play through it.
Yeah, they're not good enough, and they're not going to help you.
Right.
I do wonder if McCaffrey gets moved by the deadline. There's been a lot of smoke with that. We'll see if there's really any fire.
Been a lot of talk, and I'm hearing a lot of it here too.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh God. If
from people who are supposedly in the know.
If Buffalo got McCaffrey, that would be crazy.
And then I hear, well, they don't want to give up their first. Why? It's going to be what? Maybe the 30th pick in the draft?
Pick in the draft.
It's the best.
Right. At the highest, right.
It might be 32nd.
Right. It's like, who cares?
You give it up.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Give it up. You don't need them a whole game.
That would make them utterly indefensible.
You just need a change of pace from Singletary. Really, that's it.
If they had Christian McCaffrey, that would make them utterly unguardable. I mean, that would be absolutely insane.
If he plays.
If he plays.
It would.
But to your point, what it cost them to get him to find out is irrelevant in the current state of their team.
No, you give him the first and maybe Zach Moss or another backup running back
right.
to fill the roster.
Fill out the roster.
If they want him.
Right. No, exactly. I'm totally with you. I mean, because let's put it this way. McCaffrey's one of those guys, whether it's Buffalo or someplace else. I know there's the injury problems. Yeah, that's going to be a concern no matter what. But like, I want to see him have the opportunity. He's like the Mike Trout of football. I want to see him play on a team that
Meaningful
matters.
football. Yeah.
Like I just
I
want to
do
see
too.
that.
If it's a good team, as long as it's a good team that
Right.
doesn't need him as an every down guy, because I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, well, there's injuries. That's what it feels like. But I mean, if he,
I mean, in Buffalo, I could see him relieving Singletary or having them both in the back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or a split backfield. But the other thing is, if I was,
that's the one thing Josh Allen does not have is a proven pass catching back.
That's true. I'll tell you one other thing.
I mean, it's not killing him, but
no. If I was Buffalo, one other reason I would make this trade. Sometimes the best offense is a good defense.
Right.
I don't want Kansas City getting him.
Right.
I think he's good enough, even with the injuries, that he could tilt the advantage to Kansas City if they acquire him.
He could.
Because these teams are close.
He could. I think they've figured out a few things. And Leslie Frazier impressed me yesterday as a D coordinator. He made some adjustments at halftime that really
made a big difference.
Slowed that team down.
Yep.
And that's not easy to do.
Right. Well, on that even furthers my point, because if you finally figure that out, the last thing you want to have happen is another X factor for that team.
Right.
When you have to go back to the drawing board in certain packages now. You don't want to have
if
to
that's
do that.
the case, you get him no matter
Just
what.
go get him, even
because
if
you're in win now mode.
Right.
There's no more waiting.
Even if the only thing it guarantees is that they don't end up with him,
then you've done your job.
That's reason enough to give up a 32nd overall draft pick.
Yeah, as a GM, you've then done your job.
I think so.
I know how much Bean values his draft picks.
Yes.
And he drafts well.
He does.
But this is the equivalent of drafting well.
Yes, it is. Would you use a 32nd overall pick on Christian McCaffrey today?
Sure.
I would.
Why not?
Hey,
believe me, they were trying to, from what I was told, trade up. They ended up getting Cook in the second round, who's a nice young back and has hands. But they were trying to trade up to get Breece Hall.
I don't
when
blame
I
him.
heard that, I'm like, okay, that's a potential game breaker. I like that. So, yeah, they want that back. And then they signed the kid from the Commanders. I don't remember his name, to an offer sheet during the signing period, and he backed out of it to stay in Washington.
The Commanders.
Well,
the Commies.
The Commies.
Yes.
Sorry, I messed up there.
I was like, who's that? Oh, the Commies, right.
But they signed him, and he backed out of it before he could sign to stay in D.C. I'm like, well, that's not smart. Don't you want to win?
That's it. That's I apparently not. I guess
There's
not.
no chance of winning with the Commies.
That's another dumpster fire of an organization.
Yeah, but the NFL said there's going to be no further charges against Daniel Snyder.
Well, that's good. I don't like seeing owners forced out anyway, no matter how bad they are at their job. I mean,
but that's not why they're doing it.
No, I know, but
they didn't want a can of whoop ass open on the entire league.
It's look.
Although I thought it would have been funny.
I'm happy to see Snyder get to keep his team. I don't like when owners are forced to do anything for whatever reason, whatever their reasons are. I'm much less concerned about that, and more concerned with just not seeing that happen again and again and again, because it hasn't happened yet in the NFL. Other than I guess it did happen with Jerry Richardson, so it did happen once. So I take that back.
Before we hit the break, and I know we're there. Shout out to Harrison Butker, the Chiefs kicker. I know he had the wind of his back at that field goal at the end of the half. He hit that 62-yarder with maybe 10 yards to spare. What a kick. That was insane. You're absolutely right. He could have hit that from his own 30. That was crazy. I know. That really was nuts. And you know what else was nuts? Couldn't believe it. Justin Tucker missed. I didn't know that happened. That happens. I didn't know it happened to him. I was happy to see he's actually human. I was beginning to wonder. All right, let's take our break. We'll come back and we will do hour 2, top 5 around the corner.
And we, of course, have 2 NBA teams to hit this hour, so we can wrap it up, and
I better get a top 5 ready.
we'll be set to go. It's the Gary Ayd Show. You're on The Cave. Hour 2 of the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. CaveTalkRadio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app, Facebook Live. Great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo. And I got to tell you, top of the hour always gets me excited because it means it's time for one of our favorite topics. The top 5, baby.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
All right, let's do it. Thank you, Jack George. What do we got today, Rich?
Quick question before we do it. Are we on YouTube?
Yeah.
We are. Okay. 'Cause I thought for a while we were not.
Nope, we are.
We're on YouTube Live every day?
We are.
Okay, perfect. That's all I needed to know. Now for your top 5. Baseball related.
All right.
Give me your all-time top 5 team playoff meltdowns.
Ooh.
Seeing as how we had a few of them.
Oh, man. Dodgers this year have to be in the conversation. There's not like a singular moment. They just, they were supposed to be further into the playoffs than this. There's no question about it.
Yeah, 4 games is definitely not
the number
what they
one.
expected.
There's almost a right answer for the number one because it's historically unprecedented, with the exception of the one time it happened, which is the Yankees in 04 dropping a 3-0 series lead to the Red Sox. That has to be number one.
Yeah.
Almost by definition.
Oh yeah. And game 3 of that was like some 18-8 blowout.
Yeah, it was horrible. Yeah. There's one other that's an interesting one to me because it's a meltdown where the team that melted down still won the series. And that's the 0-1 Diamondbacks. They blew 2 games in epic fashion in that World Series against the Yankees and won the series anyway. So,
yep.
But
I had that one as well.
They were classic meltdowns in every sense. The only thing that makes it different is the team still won the series. But that one comes to mind.
Well, so far, our 3 are the same.
Now, this wasn't playoffs, but it was in the sense that it cost them getting there. The 07 Mets melted down in a big way the last month of the season to drop a division and not even make the postseason. And they did it again to a lesser extent the very next year. So they didn't learn their lesson.
And so did the 69 Cubs. So we're just counting playoffs
Yeah.
here.
That one was brutal, though. That's why I mentioned that.
They both were.
Oh, I mean, that was terrible. I think Cleveland's meltdown in 97 was pretty bad. That was the best team in baseball that year, I think.
And you had it won.
Yeah. So I'm going to put that in there. I think that was pretty bad.
Okay, I had that one as well.
Another one that comes to mind, a little more recent, but not that recent, was the 03 Yankees really should have beaten the Marlins. They had every advantage in that series, and they just couldn't figure out Josh Beckett. And then, funny enough, AJ Burnett, who they're like, well, if you can't beat him, have him join you. Joins the Yankees, and then they can't get him to win any games. They're like, son of a bitch, it couldn't beat you, and you can't win for us? What the hell's with this guy?
Oh, yeah.
The 03 Yankees come to mind.
That's a good one. I didn't have them as my 5th, but
trying to think of a few others. I think the 06 Mets against the Cardinals was a pretty rough one for me. After that Chavez catch.
I think that one's more personal, but yeah.
I mean, after that Chavez catch, the team seemed to be going in the right direction. And they couldn't close the deal. One other one, Yankees Red Sox. Now it's reversed. It was actually the year before the one that tops my list, when the Red Sox melted down and allowed the Yankees and Aaron Boone to beat them in the series. So that's another one.
Red Sox Mets.
Oh yeah, Buckner, right?
It was such a big meltdown they didn't show up for game 7.
That's a good one. That's true. Another one, the 46 Red Sox melted down pretty bad against the Indians, as a matter of fact, and were a heavy favorite in the World Series that year and didn't get the job done.
I think that was the last Indians win.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time ago.
They haven't won in my lifetime.
A long time, man.
I wonder why people in Cleveland are so cranky. Wow.
Yeah, the weather sucks and we can't win anything. So that's a good list. Let me narrow some of these down.
I'll throw one more in, not
Okay.
for you, but just because I had them. This year's Seattle team. You had a chance to win all 3 of those games. Now, meltdowns in the first 2 games were manager driven, but they were still meltdowns. And how you couldn't come back in the bottom of the 16th after that catch by Rodriguez in the top of the inning, where his speed, that percentage of him making that catch when he took off was 10%. And his speed was 31.3 feet per second.
Wow.
And then you don't come back in the bottom of the inning and win. Not as much of a meltdown, but they had a chance to win all 3 games. And for one reason or another, blew it. Okay.
It's interesting. Let's see. Number 1 for me, absolutely. Yankees in 04 against the Red Sox, up 3-0, chance to go to the World Series. By definition, that has to be number 1 because it never happened before or since. So by definition, that has to be number 1. Number 2.
With bullpens now, sorry to interrupt, do you ever see that happening again?
I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, because certainly the Yankees use their bullpen heavily in that series. I know it's not the same as it is now, but I think it's possible. Although I would say unlikely because it didn't happen in the 130 years before that either.
I think it's just a lot harder now with starters seldom going more than 6.
No, I mean that's probably true. But remember,
tough when you're a batter and someone comes in throwing 99 to 102.
But they got
in the 8th and 9th.
But they got that off of Rivera, who no one got anything off of Rivera.
Yeah.
So if you can get Rivera, you can get anybody.
True.
So that's number 1. Number 2, I think I'm going to go with the 46 Indians and the Red Sox because beyond the enormity of the failed expectations that the Red Sox produced by losing that series, it also proved to be the only opportunity that Ted Williams ever got to play in the World Series, and he hit 200 or 203 or something like that for the series, and that hung over him the rest of his life. So it had a significant amount of like collateral effect that in over the course of baseball history that perhaps other series on this list didn't have because of the characters involved. So I'm going to put that at number 2.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So does Toby.
Yes, Toby likes it. I got number 3. I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks in 01, blowing both of those games. And it's funny because like they won the series. But they lost both of those games in a really agonizing way in their bullpen, almost in identical fashion, one game to the next, with Byung-Hyun Kim blowing it.
Yeah, that was only a temporary meltdown, but a meltdown indeed. So
I mean, in the moment, it felt, insurmountable. That's the thing.
like it was hopeless.
Yeah. So
then Randy Johnson said, "Hang on, we got
watch this, Randy and Schilling." That's right.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me is going to be the 97 Indians against Miami. And number 5, I think it's also going to be number 5 is a toss up for me. It's either 03 Yankees against Miami or 86 Red Sox versus Mets. I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, I went with that one as well.
And there you have it. So that's my top 5 today. Top 5 playoff meltdowns in baseball history. Number 1 for me, the 04 Yankees. Has to be. They dropped 3-0. They were up 3-0 and dropped 4 in a row against the Red Sox. Never happened before or since. So that has to be number 1. Number 2, I went with the Red Sox in 46 because of the collateral and lasting impact it had on one of the more important baseball legacies of all time, when Ted Williams, the only World Series he ever got to play in. Team was never really good again. They were good one more year after that. They also blew that one. That was another contender. But because technically they blew winning the pennant and thus didn't make the playoffs, because back then it was just the top team in each league went to the World Series. There were no playoffs as it is. There was just the World Series. It doesn't qualify on technicality because of the question, but had it qualified, that might have been number 3 on my list. So, but the Red Sox after that never were a threat again, really. And Williams never got a chance to redeem his poor performance in that World Series. So long lasting impact it had. So that's why I went number 2. Number 3, the Diamondbacks won the World Series, but blew 2 games in gut wrenching fashion late in games. It made their win of the series even that much more incredible. Number 4 was the 97 Indians blowing it to the Marlins. They were a vastly better team. They were supposed to win that series. And the last one, Bill Buckner, baby. Red Sox, Mets, 86. Has to be there. So that's my top 5. What's yours?
Well, like as I said when we were going along, 4 of my 5 were the same. And I did add the Seattle one.
Okay. There you
The
go.
only thing I didn't have was the 46 Indians.
Yeah, I had to put that one in there.
Yeah, that was epic.
I mean, that's a rough one to lose. It really is. So there you have it. That's today's top 5. So we got we got 2 NBA teams left to do, right?
Yes, you want to do them right now?
Well, we're gonna take a break and we'll do them on the other side of the break. We got, who do we have left?
The Pelicans and another team.
Okay.
The Spurs.
The Spurs. And we've got everyone else. All right. So yeah, we'll do both of those teams today. We also have news you can use. And remember, tomorrow
Got our preview.
Is our season preview. Hour 2 of tomorrow's show is nothing but the NBA. It's a full hour of NBA, including an NBA themed top 5. So all NBA hour 2 tomorrow.
I think I've got a couple of good ones.
I figured you probably did. So that's what's on tap tomorrow, but hang tight. Back after this with the conclusion of our team-by-team forecast of the 22-23 NBA season. Pelicans and Spurs wrap it up in the Southwest Division. That's coming up next here on the Gary Ayd Show on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, we're back. Gary Ayd and Rich Anselmo here on the Gary Ayd Show. Great to have you aboard. Dylan, to wrap things up from the top 5, had a good one. He just put Cubs or die. I'll add some context to it. Steve Bartman, there's your context.
Oh.
If Mike
I'm
Keely
not a Cubs fan, and I
Ouchies.
felt for them.
Yeah.
That was so painful.
Ouch. That was also against the Marlins. The Marlins, for a team that usually stinks and have only been around a relatively short time, appear on this list an awful lot.
And then they had 2 charmed years, neither of which they deserved to win.
No, they really didn't. But anyway, so yeah, that's a good one. The 03 Cubs against the Marlins that year. That was pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's a rough one. All right. Let's hit the Pelicans, and then we'll finish up with the Spurs.
I love this team's front line when healthy. Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and one of the most underrated players in the league, Jonas Valanciunas.
He's an ox. He's an absolute ox. I'd like to see, you know how they have these like retired like football and basketball players having these like MMA matches? I want to see Valanciunas and Steven Adams have one of those when they both retire.
Oh my God. It'd be a bloodbath.
I just want to see that. That'd be awesome.
Those front court starters aren't enough for you. How about some depth? Larry Nance Jr., Willie Hernan Gomez, Jackson Hayes.
Good player too.
Started to click at the end of his 3rd year. He's got a big year coming up. Not as much in the backcourt, but you have C.J. McCollum, and that's a hell of a place to start.
Yeah, they could really use a nice point guard right now. Maybe Ball.
They could.
Oh wait, they had him already. But yes, I think that's a really Pelicans. Oh jeez, talk about cold water. Come on, man. Come on, man.
The Pelicans.
Oh boy. I think this is a good team. I really do. And I think this is a good team without Zion. Because the problem is I can't count on him. I'm not. I mean, he's already got an injury. He's like supposedly in the best shape of his life. Visibly, he appears to be, but he's already got an injury.
Right.
And like, oh, it's no big deal. No, it's a big deal when it's him because this guy's very rapidly trending into Greg Oden territory.
He is.
That scares the hell out of me if I'm the Pelicans. But the good news for them, like I was just saying, and you just kind of went through it, they're good, I think, without him. Brandon Ingram's a stud. This guy's an absolute, he's really the closest thing that we have to Kevin Durant besides Durant himself in the NBA. He's just long, gangly, tall, and just absolutely deadly with the ball in his hands. The guy's an absolute scoring machine.
He is. He really is. And Nance can cover some games if Zion has to miss some here and there. It changes the outlook long term. And I don't want to slight the point guard, but Devontae Graham was one of the few decent players in Charlotte the last 3 years before this past season. And he came to New Orleans and did the same thing. He's a solid, not spectacular point guard. But he can handle, with all that around him, he can handle the position fine. And he did. He played about 30 minutes a game last year and did well. Didn't have a lot of turnovers. He's a capable point guard. He's not going to hurt them. I just worry about the depth.
See, the West, talking about from a more depth now, from a more macro perspective across the conference, there's a lot of questions going into the season in terms of who the best team in the West is going to be. But one thing I'm not questioning, there's a lot of really good teams in the conference this year. This is going to be a deep conference this year.
It is.
I mean, I think the Pelicans could easily fall to like the 7 or 8 seed, but still be around 50 wins. I mean, I think that, right off the top of my head, Warriors, Mavericks, Nuggets, I think those are the 3 surest things I think going into the conference. Clippers are right there with them too, I think is a pretty known commodity.
Lakers also, if healthy.
Well, the Lakers to me are a question mark with their fit and stuff and their health. But yeah, the Lakers, you'd have to talk about them.
Westbrook's coming off the bench, according to Darvin Ham, and he said he's all right with it.
If only someone could have said that last year. There was a guy I remember. I can't remember who it was.
They tried.
Oh, it was me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the coach tried to do it last year, but he got no support from up top.
Yeah, well.
Darvin Ham's got the support.
Right.
Now it's just up to Westbrook says, yeah, I'll do it sometimes. Well, no, you need to do it all the time.
Right. Yeah, that makes the most sense. Because one guy they picked up, we forgot to kind of mention him when we did our Laker preview a few weeks ago, but I've always liked the game of Lonnie Walker. I think he's a solid depth guard in the NBA, and I think he'll have some chances this year to maybe play more meaningful minutes because I think the Lakers are going to need some production from someone other than the big 3.
Well, he had injury problems too.
He did, yeah.
A lot in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I think him staying healthy is going to be a key.
Yeah. But
the one thing about the Pelicans, I am not in love with their depth.
Yeah, it's not a great deep team. And getting back,
they draft, especially at guard, they drafted Dyson Daniels from G League Ignite with the 8th pick. But the game I saw him in the preseason, he's far from ready. It's going to take him a while.
I want to see where the Pelicans finish in the West this year. Because like I was saying, I was going through the teams. You mentioned the top 4, Golden State, Denver, Dallas, Clippers, I think are probably going to be the 4 best teams in the conference. Then you throw in teams like Minnesota, the Lakers, certainly a team like the Pelicans, I think that's around 7, 8. I mean, there's other teams in there too. Phoenix, I forgot to mention them. They're probably higher up on that list. I mean, you could be an 8 seed and be a 50-win team or close to it this year. We've seen this in the West in recent years, not last year, but in recent times, we've seen this more than once.
And I have the Pelicans as a 7, a solid 7, if healthy.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And then there's the San Antonio Spurs wrapping up our 30-team preview. Suffice to say, they're not a solid 7. They might be a solid 27 in terms of the best teams in the NBA. I mean, this team's going to be lousy, man. They really are.
I look at this roster, and this is a tank job waiting to happen.
It really is.
Do you see anyone on this you really like?
Not really. I mean,
really like.
I liked Murray. He's gone. I liked White. He's gone.
Yeah.
Who's left?
I like Pirtle to an extent. But that's it.
That's not good. Jacob Pirtle. We're building our squad around Jacob Pirtle.
I mean, and these draft picks in the last Josh Primo? No.
Nope.
Why did you do that? Zach Collins has been an underachiever.
Yeah, he has
wherever he's been.
Yep.
Bates Jop and Jang and guys like that and Trey Jones are just deep bench fodder.
Not much.
They do have Dougie McBuckets, and it might be interesting if they unleash him.
I'm still curious about Romeo Langford. I think he still has a little headroom for improvement, but that doesn't excite me either.
No, I mean, he's had 3 years to earn playing time, and he hasn't earned much.
Yeah, this is bad
news.
And
that concerns me.
This roster really sucks.
This might be the worst roster in the NBA.
I think it is. I mean, I'm looking up and down it right now. I mean, this is awful. I mean, like, God, let me ask you this. Are there 2 starters on a real team on this whole roster.
No, there's not one.
There's not even one, right?
Pirtle's the closest thing, and he's a marginal starter
Marginal.
on other bad teams.
Right. Or a 5th starter on an otherwise perfectly balanced team. Like if you're a team like Golden State, you could get away with a Jakob Pirtle starting at 5 for you.
Oh yeah,
but you
because
have to.
he does one thing they want. He passes.
Right. Yeah, this roster's awful. It really is. I am curious about the rookie Jeremy Socon from Baylor. I think he will be fairly good. He's 6'9", 230. He's got an NBA-ready body. I am curious about him. But, yeah, this team's trash. I mean, this team's the win. They might struggle to get to 20.
He's a first-round pick.
Yep.
One of their first-round picks. They had 3. The other 2 were later in the round, and I don't see either of them stepping in right away.
Yeah, they won 34 games last year. I'll be impressed if they get to 24 this year. This team sucks. This roster is dreadful.
They do. I see them at 20 at most.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be lower. I think they're going to be 15th in the conference.
Yep.
Or 15th in the conference, maybe 16th. They'll be fighting that out with Utah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Utah.
But Utah has a little something.
Yeah, a little something. They still got Jordan Clarkson as of now, anyway, who would be by far the best player on the Spurs right now.
Yeah.
This is bad.
And I just don't see why Popovich stayed here.
See, this is the type of thing that annoys me, is like, you said it right at the beginning, tank job waiting to happen. Like there's no way you can tell me guys as smart as Popovich and Buford intentionally put this roster together thinking it's the best they could do. They did this purely and exclusively to maximize their chances at Wembanyama. That's it.
Yeah.
And that pisses me off. You shouldn't be rewarded for intentionally sucking. I just don't like that.
It's why I say take every team 7 and down in each conference, give them 1 ping pong ball.
That's it. I agree.
So this is it. 1.
Yep.
So you've got a 1 in 24 chance or whatever. 1 in 18, 20 chance to get it. That would eliminate your tanking.
Yeah, it would. And there would be a good thing to do. Because, I mean, and like, the other thing that annoys me about tanking in the NBA is it's not really that productive to do. Your likelihood of it succeeding, even if you go 0-82, is not really that high. Like, it's not.
Well, the worst you can get is the 3rd pick.
Okay.
That kills you in a year when there's 2 players.
Right. Like right now
who we know are difference makers.
Would you rather the 3rd pick and be a 20-something win team? Or would you rather the 12th pick and have given your fans a competitive, useful season?
Don't know how many season tickets are sold in San Antonio. I'm assuming it's a high number, but I'd love to see the actual attendance numbers on them this year.
Yeah.
I really would.
I'd be curious.
And for the record, I hate tanking in any sport.
Yeah, well, at least it makes more sense in the NFL, because if you get the worst record, you get the top pick.
You do get the top pick, but on a 53-man roster, 1 pick is only going to take you so
unless
far.
It's the quarterback, and that's why you tank.
And it has to be a
generational
quarterback.
Right, which most times, even when they think it's going to be, it's not. That's why
it's not.
That's why it doesn't make sense in the NFL. Right.
I hate it in the NHL.
Yep.
Because you can get a player, but it's 20-man roster.
Right. But
you get a skater, it's 1 out of 18.
But in the NHL, just like in the NBA, there's more consistency with number 1 overall picks than there are in the other 2 sports. Like for every Anthony Bennett, there's a lot of Anthony Davises, guys who maybe didn't turn your franchise around. Like there's not many LeBrons, but there's a lot of guys who were like, yeah, he was really good. Like Joe Barry Carroll's another example from way back when. He was a really good player.
He was a decent player.
He was
a 1 and Kevin McHale went 3rd.
Right. But like you don't get a ton of Achilles Smiths, Ryan Leafs.
No, you don't.
You don't get a
Because
lot
it-
of that.
because that's the position where you get most of them.
Right, right.
Although I've seen people blow it on other positions too. But in hockey, you got a McDavid, you got a Matthews,
Yeah,
you got
they're
a
gonna be
McKinnon,
good
a Crosby.
in most
They're
cases.
gonna- for the most part,
Yeah.
your number ones
Right.
are really going to be good.
And that's the NBA too. I mean, every once in a while you'll get a Kwame Brown or an Anthony
You'll
Bennett.
get that Anthony Bennett.
But like for the most part, they're good to great players that you take at number one.
yeah.
For the most part. In the NFL,
Not always worth tanking for, though.
no, that's the thing. It's like, was Anthony Davis worth tanking for? He's
To the Pelicans, no.
he's probably borderline because he's been awesome, but he's
To
been
the Pelicans, no.
Yeah.
Because when he had help around him in New Orleans, he wasn't good enough to be the guy.
right. They didn't achieve anything, but he is also probably the
In
best.
LA was
Yeah,
good enough to have him.
they cashed in a
Because-
championship.
Right. He got a championship as a second guy.
Yep, yep. You know,
No,
but
this Spurs roster is abysmal.
it's horrible. Oh, it's rough.
I could take guys who've been cut this week. Put 15 guys on a roster and beat this team
You probably could.
with their great coach.
You probably.
There's better players on waivers than there are on this roster.
That's
I
probably
put him
true.
in San Diego so I could be near the weather,
That's right.
the beer,
That's right.
and the Mexican food.
Or Kansas City and go to the barbecue
and call
joints.
and call them the waiver wire bums, and I would beat the Spurs. Seriously,
You're probably right. I think you're right.
I don't fear Joe Wieskamp coming off the bench and hurting me.
Oh, what an absolute joke.
Oh,
Who are those waiver wire bubs? Like, we got Kemba Walker. I know he's out there.
he's out there. The kid from USC that just got cut by someone, big 6'10" power forward who went back down to the G League.
Yes.
He can play. He can do good enough to beat this team.
Uh,
There's always a handful of small forwards out there that you ask yourself, why are they?
I
on
mean,
waivers?
J.R. Smith is better than most of these clowns.
Yeah. So
out
he's
there-
not eligible because he's in college.
Playing golf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There
stuff.
are guys, let me do something here.
Carmelo Anthony's technically a free agent right now,
Yeah, and I wouldn't even have to do that.
but he'd be the best player on the Spurs right now. It's so terrible.
Current free agents.
Okay.
I'd sign Al Farouk Aminu and he could come off my bench. Melo's out there, Ariza's out there. Young players, Ajayi's out there. Ken Bazemore's out there.
Yeah.
Jordan Bell's out there.
Okay.
Every one of these guys.
They're all better than everyone on the Spurs.
Bielika's out there. Eric Bledsoe's out
Oh,
there.
Bledsoe's way better than these guards.
Boatwright's the kid. The
Oh, right.
forward.
Okay.
Avery Bradley's out there. Miles Bridges is out there.
Jeez.
I could.
No, you're right. I mean, every one
I
of
could
those
put
guys.
a team together,
Yes.
and I've only gone through the C's here.
Every single guy you mentioned is better than basically everyone on the Spurs, with the exception of Pirtle. And I think this Socon kid could be good too. He's the only reason to watch the Spurs this year, and just to see if he does anything. If he turns into just like a rank and file rookie, there's absolutely nothing to watch here.
Right.
Like, that's the only thing I'm mildly curious about with this team, is because I thought he was really good. I think he's an NBA ready body. He's got a good physique, a pretty solid skill set. That's the only thing I'm mildly curious about with this team, other than how much are they going to pile up the losses and what's their average margin of defeat going to be.
The kid that came in when Sexton got hurt in Cleveland, Brandon Goodwin,
Oh, yes.
was a backup point guard. He's available. And he was pretty efficient coming off the bench. He could be a starter for me and beat the Spurs. Mo Harkless is out there. He's still only 29.
Mo Harkless is 29?
Yeah.
How?
He's only played 10 years.
Guy
He's
feels like
just played everywhere.
he's been in the NBA since like Shaq was on the Lakers. Like, he feels like he's been there forever. Oh my goodness. Mo buckets, baby.
Lewis King, the kid from Oregon, who spent a couple of years wasting away on Sacramento's bench. But he, whenever he played, which wasn't often, he could shoot the ball. 6'7.5", 6'8", small forward.
Where's Thaddeus Young right now? Is he still hanging around somewhere?
Let me go down to the Y's here. And the why not?
He might, yeah, why not? He might be on the roster.
He might be. I'm looking here to see if I see him.
I mean,
he must be on a roster
Yeah.
because I do not see him here.
Yeah, I think he's probably on the roster. Nick Young, maybe.
No, he's not on this list anymore. He's done.
He's kicked.
Who was the center that Portland let go of for some stupid thing?
Oh,
Myers Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
He could start for me. He's as good as Pirtle.
He's the same guy, basically. Yeah,
he's a jerk, but he's as good as Pirtle.
Young is on Toronto, by the way.
Okay, I could get Tristan Thompson to come off the bench.
And hey, I might even get some eye candy with a Kardashian too if I bring him in.
Yeah, it's not.
it's something. Might be.
I mean, there are enough players here, and like I said, I haven't gone through half this list.
That's amazing.
That I can put a team together. I probably couldn't get more than a year or two out of. I could beat the Spurs. You and I could coach them, and we could beat the Spurs. I'm serious.
No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I don't disagree.
Right now, I'm on Real GM looking at the available players. And this list is very up to date.
That's so sad.
She's Greg Monroe's on this
list. Why?
Ben McLemore's on the list.
Benny Mac. He sucked. He drove me crazy when he was on the Lakers. He drove me nuts. Him and Ken Bazemore, those two guys drove me crazy. All right, well, there you go. So the Spurs stink. We've established it. We can beat them with the waiver wire. Actually, we could probably do like two teams off the waiver wire that could beat them.
Yeah, and probably take the Jazz on too.
Let's do it.
I mean, yeah, I could, we could go out and get some nice weather, coach some waiver wire bums.
Now that
There
would
we
be,
are.
if the NBA is going to do this mid-season tournament stuff, that would be the way to do it. Take the 3 worst teams in the NBA at the All-Star break and put or 4 worst teams and put 2 waiver wire teams together and have a round robin.
And I haven't even gone through the list of guys that played in the NBA, like bench guys, and went to Europe.
Right. Oh, yeah, those guys too. Yeah.
I could field a team easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
There we go. So, all right, let's take our last break. We'll come back and we'll do some news you can use.
Oh, yeah.
Good times. Spurs stink. That's the story of the day. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then, if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
Okay, we're back to wrap things up. We got news you can use. Hopefully it's better than the Spurs.
It is.
That's good. We set the bar pretty low.
We don't really do much with college football here.
That's true.
Kudos to Tennessee for beating Alabama. Doesn't happen often, but I like when it does. And you and I hit it right on the head with Syracuse.
We did.
They won big. They won by a nice, comfortable score.
We did.
I like it. And so we're 1-0 this year in college football. That's where we'll stop.
We did it. Hey, let's quit while we're ahead.
That's right. All-time great.
That's right. 100%.
Tom Brady
yes.
ripped
Oh, yeah.
into the Bucs offensive
he
line
did.
during the game, yelling to get your effing act together.
Oh, good times.
He was hit a lot. You're you're so much better than the way you're blanking playing, which was heard on Fox. Get your effing act together. It was all heard.
I mean, he's not wrong.
No, he's not.
But, like, he also just comes across as whiny to me. So, I don't know. But
I have no gripe with someone getting on someone for not doing their job.
But he's not wrong.
As you do with me all the time in our post-show meetings.
Oh, I do not.
I'm kidding.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, come on.
Come on, man. That's the third one today. Come on, man.
Are the Packers in playoff danger?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think this team's very good. I didn't really think of them as a playoff team going into the year with the I mean, you could only strip the cupboard so much before there's just not enough there to cook a meal. And Rodgers is a gourmet chef, but right now he's got like Uncle Ben's rice, Aunt Jemima's syrup, and Land of Lakes head butter. And yes, I use those three things specifically because the hell with you, cancel culture freaks.
I love it.
So that's all he's got in his whole pantry right now. So what are you about to make? Buttery sweet rice?
Syrup works for me.
Buttery sweet rice. There we go. That's what we got.
That's right.
And a couple of enemies among the PC police, which I'm all for. Bring them on.
Not a gourmet meal. In the least. But hey, it's fun.
That's right.
Just for the record, that was number 15 NC State that number 18 Syracuse beat 24-9. I think they should move up a little bit. Go Cuse.
That's right. I'm sure Scott's gonna love that. Scott, I know, is listening. He's a big Syracuse guy.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel calls out NFL issues in a reply all email to the entire league.
Uh-oh.
Good luck you ever getting another call again, Mike.
Oh, yeah, that's the end of that.
I don't know if it was on purpose, but if it wasn't, I am just laughing too hard.
That was funny. I did see that. Mike Vrabel is a good coach, but yeah, he just made his bed for life with that one.
And he pretty much said, that, I appreciate the time and energy that goes into the videos that you make, but I suggest we devote every minute of our officiating department's time ensuring our officiating crews are well trained in the clarifications we work to create in the off season, and that each crew is consistent as possible. Thank you. That's all everyone wants.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that reffing sports is really, really, really difficult. And I think the NFL is uniquely difficult because of the amount of space and the number of bodies you have to keep an eye on. It's really
I think
hard.
every sport's difficult.
They're all very hard. Like I think, but I think the NFL is the hardest of the four to officiate. Like I always say, I think hockey's the hardest sport to broadcast as a radio broadcaster. I think as a referee, football is the hardest sport to officiate because of the amount of space and the number of bodies, many of whom are in such close proximity to each other, where vision is going to be tricky. It's a hard thing to do. It just is.
It is. It is. Well, apparently Vrabel hit reply all on purpose.
Oh, I have no doubt.
This was not accidental. He said this really needs to be fixed. And it does. It's the worst officiating of all four sports. By a long shot. It could be the worst, but it shouldn't be the worst by as much as it is. Now, roughing the passer calls are still down 51% from last year, so we're getting closer to that week 8.
Yep. Okay.
And Jim Irsay tells the AP a replay on this would be a wise way to go. And I'm thinking, and I think you're thinking on the same page, no.
Yeah, let's not do any more replays.
In theory, video review makes some sense. It doesn't curb the bad calls. Remember the pass interference replay reviews in 2019?
Well, all it does is
Troy Vincent said that failed.
It serves to highlight them and elongate their the amount of momentary outrage that they generate. It doesn't do anything to help the situation. That's why I say like the best way to handle bad calls is just move on. There'll be other ones in the future.
There will.
Like just let's keep it moving.
They are absolutely. There will be more. What happened on the sidelines yesterday with Robbie Anderson of the Panthers?
Oh, it wasn't good.
He argued with 7 coaches and he got ejected by his own team. What the heck happened?
Against his old team, nonetheless. No, that was 2 weeks ago. Never mind. No, it wasn't against his old team, but still, I don't know what happened. I really don't. But
he argued with coaches and sat away from teammates. Okay, I get that. But he's on the trade market. If anyone needs a wide receiver. And don't say he's got attitude issues because almost every wide receiver does.
That's like the name of the position, wide attitude.
Yeah.
Like that's like.
And he got into serious arguments with Joe Daly, the receivers coach, the interim head coach. He was ejected, told to leave for the locker room before the game ended. He said he was confused. He said he had no idea why they sent him back there.
Yeah, it's.
And I don't think it helps that they're actively shopping him either.
No, I mean, but like, wouldn't you want to get out of Carolina? Like, wouldn't that be like exciting to you? I mean, Robbie Anderson's not a spring chicken anymore. I mean, this guy's not 24 years old. So, like,
no, it'd be nice if he had a place to try to win.
Like at least be competitive. Like, I don't think if I was a professional athlete and this was and I wasn't like in that conversation of like all-time great. See, I think it only really matters. Championships only really matter in the context of all-time great players or teams. Like if I'm just a good player who's going to have a 10-year or so career, which is what Robbie Anderson is, I don't think I care so much about winning a Super Bowl. But I care about not spending every year, every week for most of my career knowing I can't compete. Like, I think I'm content to feel like I can win every game I play in, even if we don't end up winning the Super Bowl in the end of the day. Like if I could play for a team like Pittsburgh or a team like maybe Pittsburgh's not the best example right now, but historically a team like that. Although
they might be, considering they can use a receiver.
They could use Robbie Anderson. He would help them. That's true.
Right.
But if I could play for a team like the Titans, like a team that's going to be competitive, like that's all I want if I'm just a rank and file guy. Now, if I'm a Peyton Manning, if I'm an Aaron Rodgers, I need to win championships because I'm considered maybe an all-time great, and I need those to bolster my legacy. But, you don't have a legacy, to put it bluntly, if you're just a regular guy, even if you're just a regular, really good guy. Like, Robbie Anderson doesn't have a legacy to protect.
No.
He's
been a productive player.
He's a productive player that's going to retire with, if he's handled his money right, with a good amount of money, a nice head start on the second half of his life. But, he's not going to be fighting a paparazzi when he goes to the grocery store. He could probably still do his own shopping.
True.
You know what I mean?
He wants to. Very true.
So, all right, we got time for one more.
Okay, quickly. The Toronto Maple Leafs are in a tight spot. Goaltender Matt Murray's injured again.
Uh-oh.
He's going to miss at least a month. Nice guy from everyone that knows him, but man, this guy's never healthy. The one thing is, it did clear some cap space for them to sign bring a couple other players up from the minors, because their cap, they were $4 under when the roster was set. And it was a short roster. So at least for the next 4 weeks, maybe more, they've got a few more guys to help out. Oh, man.
Oy vey.
Next year can't come fast enough for some of these teams with cap issues.
That's a fact. All right.
And that's all I got.
That's what we got. All right. Well, good stuff today. We appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow, second hour, 11 to noon, NBA preview all hour. And until then, enjoy Titillating Sports with Rick Tittle. For Rich Anselmo, I'm Gary Ayd, and we'll see you again tomorrow, 10 to noon, here on The Cave.